All right, guys. Well, as you can see, I started to rework the wiring, and I got quite a bit of it taken care of, to be honest with you. But every time I check it, it seems that it's somewhere else. Now, originally I was getting slapped. Anything that was tied into the yellow or the blue breakers, which I have over there. And I went through all that wiring, and everything seemed to be okay there. Then the next thing I know, I'm still getting slapped off of the antenna connector. Now the antenna connector is connected to nothing but the antenna and the tower and the garage and so on, you know, and the earth rather. So that's that. So a friend of mine came over, which is an electrician. Now he normally doesn't do residential stuff, and he's not really, you know, he's not really into doing it anymore, but he says he'll come over and we'll see what we can figure out. So we started going, as you can see, we started tearing everything apart. I mean, I got a nightmare here. I really do. We went through every breaker in the box. We went to the house, down into the main breakers, down into where this here is connected. So we went and followed that all the way down into the box down here, into the box down below, which has a 50 amp breaker down there. And all of it is showing voltage. We went outside, and I have some copper pipes. Hold on. Even if we turn off the main breaker in the house, shut the main from coming in completely, we still have voltage on the grounds, even the water pipes. Now out here, so it has nothing to do with anything out here. Now out here, man, this is, you can tell winter's here. It's a mess out here. Out here, see this ground rod right here? Where am I? Right here. I have these about every 12 feet all the way around. Some of them are connected, some aren't. All right, I put them in here in case I need it for another antenna or something. It's here, but that's that. This one here is in the ground. This really isn't connected. It's just sitting in there. It's not doing anything. All right. Actually, I don't even know. Oh, it goes up top. All right. So anyway, the tower, same thing. There's voltage on those. I have voltage in the ground. Don't ask me how, but we have it. So, I'm wondering if the neighbors have the same problem and not aware of it. See, I'm aware of it because of what I do back here, and I got slapped a few times. I'm wondering if they're even aware of it. So, I have a tester that it's just a matter of touching, and it'll tell me if they have the problem. So I want to get a hold of my neighbor on this side and find out. The neighbor on that side, she's a renter. She's been there as long as we've been here. She's a little bit of a weird person. She lives alone. She's probably late 40s. You never see her. She doesn't talk to anybody except for the landlord, and that's about it. So, but the landlord lives in North Haven, so there's no way I can really check there. Now the house next to that one, which I know the guy, he's also a fireman. I'm sure he will let me check a couple of his circuits as well, because I'm wondering if it is something to do when they redid the tracks out back. Because again, when we originally bought this house, those tracks weren't being used. And well, like they are. Occasionally you would see a train coming up from the quarry going across there. But they decided they wanted to rework the tracks, put in new tracks, you know, overhead power and all this kind of crap. So I'm wondering if, since that, if this is an issue. And I can't ground anything off the ground because I got voltage on the ground. So it's not like I can ground it off, you know, to bleed it off someplace. So we've got an issue. If anybody has any ideas, I'd like to know, because when it comes to wiring of a house, I know enough to be dangerous. You know, I can wire a house. I know how to wire a house. I know, you know, the code, the inches, the stapling, the wiring itself. I know how to hook up a three-way, a two-way. I have no problems with wiring. I can tie into the main, blah, 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 blah. But when there's a problem like this, I'm lost. Because, you know, it's just like, where is it coming from? So I'm going to call the power company and tell them what our problem is, and get them out here to see what the problem is. Because if it is coming from those tracks that they just recently worked on, I am going to have to get a hold of them. Alright, anyway, Eversource, the power company, was out and checked from the pole to the house, and everything seems to be good there. So we still have voltage on the ground side of the antenna and the positive side, and we should not be seeing that. Now there's actually 5 volts AC on that. I checked the ground rod in the ground outside and got 5 volts on that as well. So we're still in a dilemma. Now here's another one. We have voltage there. We have voltage there. There was another plug there. I took it out and bypassed it because that plug also fed this switch. This switch also fed these lights. Well, we're showing voltage on these lights. However, they don't light. Now, I did turn the breaker off just for the hell of it. But I even screwed in a light that I know that works, this one here, temporary, to see what happens. And nada. So I pulled it apart and was checking that. So we have voltage up there as well. So who knows what's going on? It's strange. All this started happening, about 6 months ago or so. And got to figure it out, that's for sure. Because I am not going to plug a radio in that's got 5 volts on the antenna lead. That is not supposed to be. That one's got 5 volts on it. This one has 5 volts on it. Here's a ground. Alright, so, and if I take and put the fluke on it and go from a ground to the ground on these, we get 5 volts AC. Now some may say, well, that's 5 volts. Well, you know what? 5 volts is 5 volts. 5 volts is enough to where it can blow and damage a lot of equipment. So now you got to figure out what the hell the problem is, because I was trying to figure out why I was getting it across the batteries when I wasn't even tied into any AC current. I was tied directly to DC, the batteries, plugged into the radio. Well, the problem being was it's coming in through the ground on the antennas. That's the problem. Now, if I go outside, like I said, and I have those ground rods all around the garage, and if I go to one that has nothing attached to it, I got voltage. So it's telling me somewhere I gotta have an open neutral, but where the hell can it be? This is a challenge. So, but anyway, I have to call it a day because it is getting a little late. It's I'm gonna turn that one particular breaker off because we don't know what the hell it's doing. I gotta change one of these bulbs up here too. But I have a meeting tonight at the fire department, and I got to what do I gotta do? Oh, I gotta program a radio, so I gotta bring this in with me. Gotta bring that one in with me. I gotta bring a programming cable in with me for Bofang or Wouxun. I'll bring the Wouxun. And I'm going to need the Wouxun program. And that's that. So I really haven't got too many issues with the voltages until I start hooking up the antennas, because that's when I have the problems, because I have voltage coming in off of those things. So that's where I'm at. So if anybody has any ideas here, let me tell you once again, I have voltage on those plugs that you're not seeing. I have voltage on that, and I even jumped it. That's what those two what you call it are. That gives me voltage to the switch. That gives me voltage to these plugs, but the lights still don't turn on. So that's one of the problems. The other problem is I have 5 volts AC in my ground. Now when the utility company came out, they said, well, it's a possibility that we have overvoltage, and if that's the case, it could be seeping out. But everything seems to be fine. Your voltages are fine. So there's nothing wrong with that. So what I'm going to do is I got to check a few more things. But even if we turn off the main in the house, we still have it. So where the hell is it coming in from? That's the question. If I turn off the main breaker coming in from the street, there's no power in the house anywhere. If I turn that off, I still have the voltage problem on these connectors and on that ground outside that's just nailed into the earth with nothing attached to it. So where the hell is it? Anyway, guys, that's where I'm at. Let me get ready. I go to the meeting tonight.